The final days before the presidential election, and all eyes today are on Pennsylvania, which will not count mail in ballots until after election night. Boy, as if we have to wait any longer for our stimulus relief or stimulus packages or third stimulus checks or third stimulus packages. Now we learn that some states are not even counting the results until after election night. So when will we see results? When will we get to the finish line? Where will the finish line be? Those questions and more are answered in today's incredible broadcast of 28. Hey, good morning, everybody. It's 28, which counts down to 28 days to the presidential election. And guess what? We're almost there. Thank you for tuning in on this incredible ride of a great hit series. We're almost to the final end and to election night. The question is whether we'll see results finalized on election night. In this recording, I'll explain to you what's going on. If you've not gone to the Fuzz channel, subscribe, because on election day, we will be doing recordings like you've never seen before. We're getting them organized, and it's going to be a little bit different because there's going to be so many twists and turns on Tuesday and Wednesday. So stay tuned for that special programming coming out on this channel by subscribing and making this the biggest community. Let's add about 1,000 subscribers a day. Let's get it going. If you've not subscribed, make sure you do, because this is going to be the most up-to-date recording channel there is for you. Also, like this video, which you've been doing a great job of. Today, all eyes are on Pennsylvania. Why? Frackin', flockin'. What's that word? Because of voting and when it's tallied. Well, new report today says the fact that both candidates will crisscross Pennsylvania today is no surprise to CNN. With 20 electoral votes, it's a prize. Biden's a native son between the cities of Philadelphia and Pittsburgh in rural Pennsylvania, and western part of the state is also where Trump's message, particularly on fracking, will find an audience again. It's interesting, though. Here's our things to watch. Pennsylvania won't know the results potentially on election night. What does this mean for your stimulus? Let me go over it right now. CNN explains that 7 Pennsylvania counties won't count mail-in ballots until after Election Day. Pennsylvania Secretary of State Kathy Boockvard said in a press statement overnight that 7 counties indicated they'll wait until after Election Day to even begin counting in mail-in ballots. Like we can wait any longer. Thank you, Pennsylvania. Can you just, send in some of... send in some of Chuck Schumer's staff, since they don't do much of anything. And you can send over some of Mitch McConnell's lobster crew, because they don't do anything much of anything. They can count some ballots for you. Get it done sooner. I mean, they're just, they're getting paid a salary to do something. I might as well have them do this. Cumberland County, near Harrisburg, is the largest one of them. We're directly reaching out to the counties that are being indicated as not planning to count. We're also reaching out to the counties to explain why this matters. Just a few days before the election, some counties in Pennsylvania are saying, you know what, we're going to count after election night. Who said you can't? It's just, I'm starting to think that maybe they're writing your third stimulus package. The stimulus package when you go on lockdown in December, January, February, potentially. They're going to write that package, in July of next year after you've already done a lockdown. Well, Pennsylvania, they're starting to count, after election day, which is just totally makes sense. Even if you can only do part to get started as early as humanly possible on election day for even the single county of any side, but certainly the more mail-in and absentee ballots they have, the more it matters. What she's saying is, get it done in a nice way. What the hell you're waiting for? As though we can just sort of wait around? God. I have to insert a little jab here, just because it's Saturday morning. I enjoy a little good jab. This is why you got to give money to stay in local, because when you give money to stay in local, they can go on more holiday and just do mail-in voting a day later when it's due the day before. Just keep on giving money to stay in local. Boy. Why does this also matter? Actually, CNN's reporting on your stimulus today. Surprising. It's surprising that the financial news channels on Saturday have not a single stimulus story out today yet, but CNN actually has it buried in a polling story for today. Stimulus is on hold. The economy is not. Well, it's not on hold. It's just on hold until Tuesday. Maybe next year. Maybe not next year. Well, it's officially too late to get a new COVID-19 passed before the election. Thank you, Captain Obvious, CNN. Senator Majority Leader Mitch McConnell made clear that he's looking down to next year, which he may no longer be Senate Majority Leader. Thank you, Captain Obvious. Takeaway, when McConnell wants to get things done fast, he can. When he wants to do it slow, he's slow. With lawmakers failing to act, this is actually the impressive part of the article. Listen here to this good part. When lawmakers fail to act, the Federal Reserve is changing the rules of the Main Street lending program to help small businesses have been struggling to get by while waiting for additional stimulus for Congress. The federal will issue relief as low as $100,000 and reduce the fees, previously minimum of $250,000. This was incredible, great news that I broke yesterday, which dates back to really before this channel. I have been reporting on the Main Street Lending Program as early as March and February. And at that time, the Main Street Lending Program was in its infancy, hadn't been launched. When it launched, it was under fire for, attempting to provide stimulus relief to millions of Americans, was not well designed. And to date, I think only 400 applicants have gotten Main Street Lending relief. But now the incredible relief was announced overnight. That all my original EIDL viewers, all my original PPP viewers, go get it right now. I was sending DMs to some of my OGs who had cap problems, ceiling caps that Javita Carranza had put. Javita Carranza is not doing increases. And so I said, go get this. It's $100,000 starting now. There's no caps on it. And you can get it if you've already been on EIDL and PPP. All right, let's get to what's going on with the rest of you for stimulus relief. As we sit here on a Saturday, we have at least 5 items of stimulus relief that I want to talk to you about, and with these final days before the election. And this is what's important to understand. First, and some of these I don't talk about on a daily basis, so stay with me because there's going to be a lot of new stuff right now. First, mortgage forbearance and rent eviction moratorium. Rent eviction moratorium means that you cannot be evicted for inability to pay your rent. That was protected not by act of Congress, but by executive order of the president. He wrote that executive order, and then it was backed up by CDC. I detail that in a lot of videos in this time slot where street and stimulus is now located, 5 o'clock. In all those rent videos, I explained the program ends December 31st. So as you sit here today, we're less than 30 days away from that program ending, which was created by executive order. There's nothing ready to take over for it. That's the big concern. Second, mortgage forbearance. That is not comprehensive. It's only for certain types of mortgages that are Freddie and Fannie Mae backed. It's incredible relief for those. That's what's great news. But those are expiring in late December. Next, student loan debt forgiveness, also created by executive order of this president. That is what Betsy DeVos rolled out per the executive order of the president to give students relief on when to repay their student debt during this pandemic. That's also expiring in December. You see why so many things are expiring in December, and this is not good. Now, a lot of the original CARES Act unemployment assistance items are set to expire as well. I don't have those in front of me, and I don't remember them particularly by heart because it's just too many to recall. But I believe, I'm not positive, I believe that PUA and FPEUC is just a few weeks away from expiring as well, meaning that those programs will no longer carry into the new year. You see why there's so much urgency right now because of the concern of lockdown stimulus. Now let me get to lockdown stimulus. Lockdown stimulus is what I'm using as an expression to describe the period of November to about March. Congress has not written anything, has not even drafted anything to provide you stimulus relief if you're told to go on lockdown. What's important to understand when we talk about lockdowns is that lockdowns are announced by governors, county officials, and city mayors. They're not announced by the president. The president cannot put you on lockdown. Donald Trump will not put you on lockdown. And Joe Biden can't put you on lockdown, despite what Donald Trump is saying in campaign stops today. Joe Biden can't put you on lockdown. It's up to the governors to do it. But it's up to the federal government to provide you the stimulus relief if you're put on lockdown. Let me explain what this means. What this means is cities and counties cannot go bankrupt under the Constitution. They cannot declare bankruptcy. And so what they have to do is they have to get relief from another source, or you have to get relief from another source. And hence, the reason why there needs to be stimulus in your hand is because the city and county, which may ultimately declare your lockdowns, can't afford to pay for your lockdowns. It's the federal government that has to pay for your lockdowns. And they pay for it with stimulus checks, they pay for FUC, they pay for it for hazard pay. And this won't fly if the federal government says go on lockdown and they're not sending you anything, let alone drafting anything. Let me explain the different periods of time that we're dealing with for stimulus relief. And it's important to understand that one does not that Congress is trying to skip periods so that you are financially behind, so that you never are financially caught up. They're trying to just simply do a bad job. Let me explain what this is. You know, you have a bill that's due in March, you have a bill that's due in April, and you have a bill that's due in June. Well, no one that sends you the bill says, oh, you can just sort of skip May. Just forget about May. You don't have to pay the month of May. I'll just forgive the month of May. Well, no bill collector says that to you when they send you a bill. Congress, on the other hand, wants to send you stimulus relief by saying, I'll give you a check for April, but I'm not going to send you one for May. Let's just forget about May. And then June, let's just skip June. July, I'll pay, but then let's skip the next couple months. And then, oh, there's a lockdown. Let's just skip a couple months there. And then after those months, I'll start paying you maybe I'll pay you a little bit later. That's what Congress is doing. Your bills aren't stopping, but Congress is stopping payment of months. Let me give you examples. First, when I was recording in July, and I said FPUC, which goes on top of your enhanced unemployment benefits of UI and PUA, was expiring. At that time, we had already had weeks and weeks and weeks of Senator Harris, who's in campaign stops today in Florida, 3 campaign stops in the morning. She said, you know what, millions of Americans need relief every month. We can't just do a $1,200 check for 1 month. We need $2,000 every month for 6 months until unemployment goes down or the pandemic goes away. She tied her bill, co-written with Bernie Sanders, to the unemployment rate. Well, guess what? The Temple of Doom didn't want that. She didn't want you to get stimulus relief every month. And so what the Temple of Doom did in the month of July was allow your FPUC to expire. You were getting $600 a week. It expired. They went on vacation. They came back from vacation and everyone just assumed they were going to take care of it. They didn't take care of it and it expired again and they went on another vacation. That was August. Then September came along. They didn't get it done. In September, Steve Mnuchin was offering $400 a week, which would have given you a lot of thousands and thousands of dollars. She rejected that. Now, as we sit here in October, guess what the Temple of Doom wants to do? She wants to go FPUC retroactively to September. Remember how I talked about how bill collectors don't say you can just skip a month? She wants to skip a month in paying you. She wants to totally skip the month of August, as though the month of August did not exist on the calendar. And what I'm telling you right now is that she's going to skip other months coming up as lockdowns announced. All of her programs of the second stimulus package stop around December. So if she wants to have you on lockdown in January, she ain't paying you for it. If she wants you on lockdown in February, she ain't paying for it. In fact, she's not even writing a bill to prepare for it. What's important to understand is that the amounts that she's proposing for these lockdowns don't pay, for this period before the lockdowns, doesn't even suffice for your bills either. You've been enduring this pandemic since March. And since the first stimulus package, now 6 months have passed. 6 months have passed. Next month will be 7 months. This weekend will be 7 months. How much stimulus does she want to give you? One stimulus check or watered down stimulus check. If you're a child, she wants to give you $500 to cover for 7 months of bills. If you're an adult dependent, you're a veteran on someone else's tax return, she wants to pay you $1,000 to cover 7 months of bills. And she, in the other hand, she wants to give $900 billion to states, which, if they're on lockdown, they're closed. Their offices are closed. They're not there. Their offices are closed. They're not paying for they're not paying for, for normal transportation. A lot of their costs are cut. Their costs are cut when their offices are closed. She wants to pay for schools when schools will be closed under a lockdown. She wants to spend money on things that will be closed when you're home and you have bills to pay. What's important to understand is sort of this example, which I want to show to you. Amazon reported its earnings for third quarter on Thursday. And you know what it said? It said we had some new expenses because of COVID, but we saved a lot of expenses, like we had no travel because of COVID. Well, when you talk about state and local saves a lot of money when there are lockdowns because they're not traveling, they're not flying, they're not driving around, they're not spending fortunes in gas, and their cars and their things are all parked. And so guess what? State and local is actually saving money during a pandemic, while in terms they're losing money on revenue from businesses. So to think that we should be throwing so much money at state and local when you're the one that has all these bills piling up, and that your rent eviction moratorium is expiring in December, your mortgage forbearance is expiring, and it was not even comprehensive, your student loan debt is expiring, and your stimulus checks, you haven't even gotten one since March. Your hazard pay, you worked as a frontline worker since the pandemic started, and there's a new wave of COVID-19 cases with 90,000 new cases today, and they don't even want to pay you a penny. When I started this video series 28 to count down the 28 days before the presidential election, I in my heart of hearts really thought there would be a stimulus agreement between these parties. To think that these parties believe that they can go to the polls with no stimulus relief and that will work for purposes of the American people, I just think is a rolling time bomb. I really will see. I'm waiting to see what will happen on election night. But as you see here, will the election results be declared on election night? Potentially no. In Georgia, the Senate race requires a majority win, and we may not have a majority win, and they will have to have a runoff in January. Second, if the races are too tight for the presidential race, you will have a runoff. You will have a contested race, which means it goes to the court and people fight. If the Senate remains too close, you may not know the balance of power for getting your stimulus for a couple days. But the good news is I'm here, you're here. We're going to get through this together. It's going to be a lot of confusion, but we're going to filter through it. As always, go to the French channel, subscribe, because with 28 days counted down, we've been counting it down, and we're going to bring it all the way to the finish line together. Also, like this video. Coming up next is Afternoons LA. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and save LA for more.